In the last section, we learned how we can use the presenter view instead of using your slides for notes. And if you need to, you can always just use paper notes, right? But you as the presenter aren't the only person that are using notes. The audience is taking notes. In fact, if you think about it, you're probably a note taker too. About 90% of us are. And while you're taking notes, really what you're doing is trying to remember the important parts, right? If anyone's ever approached you at the end of a presentation and asked you, hey, can you send me the PowerPoint deck? What they're actually asking you for is good notes. So here's the thing. You, as the presenter, should be taking notes for people. You shouldn't make them have to decide what they should write down, and you should be giving those notes out to people. Most of the time, when a presenter makes notes and then hands them out to the audience, they don't call them notes, they call them handouts. Handouts should be notes that you, the presenter, make for the audience. Handouts are good and should be used for every type of presentation, not just for complicated ones. Remember, handouts are best when they're used as notes. But the thing is that PowerPoint doesn't make good handouts, because a good handout has details on it, right? PowerPoint is made as a support for the message, not as the message itself. Remember, you don't want to sit there and read to people. So, how do you make handouts? You make handouts instead generally in Microsoft Word. Here's the handout that I'm going to give you guys at the end of this presentation. Notice that it starts off with what makes a bad PowerPoint. Talks about too much text and text that's too small or too hard to read or, whatever. More or less, I've taken notes for you here. Some people say, yes, David, I understand that handouts are good, but I don't like to give them out, because as soon as I give them out, what does everybody do? Well, they read the whole darn thing. That's why the experts suggest that you hold handouts until the end of what you're talking about. When you hand it out at the end, you can give people a couple of seconds to look through it, and then they've listened to you while you're talking. Now, when I say hand them out at the end, I don't necessarily mean the end of the presentation. You can have numerous handouts and hand them out after every major section or major talking point. But you do have to keep in mind that if you're handing things out at the end, people are still going to stress about what should they be writing down. And remember, you're trying to take notes for them. So here's the thing. Tell people that you're going to be giving people handouts at the end, and every time that you bring up something that's on the handout, you tell them, and this is on the handout. Then they can relax. If you see somebody grabbing their pen and taking a note, and that's something on the handout, that's a pretty good time to say, and this is on the handout. So to summarize, handouts are good. They're notes that you take for people. In general, you want to tell people I'm giving you the handouts at the end, and every time that you bring up a point that's on the handouts, you tell them, okay, this is on the handouts. Does it take more work to make a presentation with handouts? Yeah, it kind of does. But sometimes a better presentation takes a little bit more work. And later on, you guys are going to learn tricks to make your PowerPoint creation a lot faster.